What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the 5 series. And this is a video series that I've created to give my entrepreneur audience out there some actionable tips that you can use to grow your business and achieve more success. So basically, to that end, we've got Keith Barry here, who is an entrepreneur in Toronto. We might have a few trains on this video today, but that should be fun. Hopefully the audio will still be good. But despite all of that, Keith is here to give us some excellent tips on public speaking, an area that he knows very well. He's coached a lot of professionals in public speaking. Yeah, and hopefully these tips will be very helpful for you guys out there. Even if you do have a bit of an ego, and even if you do think that you're great at public speaking, then you can still get some value here, and particularly for those newbies who have never done any public speaking before, we're going to be helping you guys out. So Keith hopefully can give us a bit of his background and how he got into giving people advice on public speaking and being an entrepreneur.
All right. Thanks so much, Jared. Yeah, I started a company called Full Deck in 2014. Prior to that, I had been working in marketing, interactive project management, and the like. And throughout, I knew from my experience at those places and agencies that people didn't like doing presentations and public speaking, and they weren't very good at it a lot of times. And they need some coaching. And over those years, I got really good at doing PowerPoint and Keynote and Prezi, and giving people tips and hints on how to be a better public speaker.
Excellent.
When I started my own company in 2014, I applied all that knowledge, and it took off very quickly. Actually, it was quite shocking to me that about the need out there. To be honest,
for sure.
I thought there would be, but it was great to see it take off so quickly. And yeah, so we're here to talk about some tips that might help public speakers out there, new public speakers, or people needing to make a keynote speech or speech somewhere. Some things to keep in mind before they do.
Fantastic. Yeah, and that's definitely true. That point about there being like a great need out there for this type of thing, and that's why when I was going over ideas for this series and I was talking to Keith, and he brought up the idea of doing a video on public speaking and tips for public speaking, and I thought that was amazing, because there's so many people out there who are afraid of public speaking. Myself, even at some points, like going into a public speaking scenario, I was stressed out about it, and doing it a few times and getting a bit of like professional help and a bit of coaching and stuff really helped me. So I hope that it helps you guys as well, and realize that public speaking actually doesn't need to be that scary, and in fact that it can even be fun.
It can be, yeah. So people have to keep in mind there's no natural public speakers. There's a few probably on the planet, but it's something that takes work over years usually to get it right. I still get butterflies before I speak or teach a course. Normally now it's because I'm just really anxious to get out there and do it, but it's not easy, and I'd be the first to admit that. So yeah, without further ado, should we start with these 5 tips?
Yeah, let's get into them.
Just 5.
Yeah, just 5. We'll start with
just a taste.
Start naturally with tip number 1. I guess.
Yeah. It's an easy and obvious one, I think, is be prepared, and that takes all sorts of different forms. It's making sure that you rehearse in front of the mirror over and over again. That's a cliche, but it's very, very true. Seeing yourself present is going to give you knowledge about how your body language is like, what your voice is like, what your stance is like. So you should always try to keep good posture. You should always try to project, and you should always have some place to put your hands. And that sounds silly, but
details.
Details. Yeah, a lot of people when they're talking, they get very worried about where their hands are. The thing is to just relax them. They don't have to be anywhere. If you are an animated speaker, like me, case in point, and you're using your hands to speak, that's absolutely fine. If you're not, it's okay if they're down at their sides. You don't feel you have to cross them or put your arms behind your back.
Put them in your pockets is the worst.
Yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yes. You want to show disinterest in your own topic, put your hands in your pockets. Yeah. So make sure that you're aware of how you look on stage as best you can before you get up there.
Very true. And like I think part of that as well, like you were saying, rehearsing and making yourself aware of the way that you're talking. That was a big thing with me when I started doing these videos, is you don't really notice some of the mistakes that, not necessarily mistakes, but just like little bit weird things that you do when you're talking. A huge one is for me, I put the word and us and stuff like that you don't really become aware of until a lot of podcasters really get this as well. When they listen back to their stuff, they're like, I can't believe how much I did that. So yeah, just rehearse, maybe even record yourself doing it a couple of times, or do it in front of somebody who you trust and get some feedback that way.
Peers, partners, I love it. Your cats, whoever you trust.
Yeah, yourself.
Yes, yourself, yeah. If you do tend to stammer on occasion, do the ums and ahs, it just comes from a real honest place where people want to keep talking.
Yes.
They don't want gaps.
Yes, absolutely.
So you can train yourself over time to just pause. That's the replacement to ums and ahs, is a pause. So you just, where you think, I don't know what I'm going to say next, I don't know how to say it just yet, I don't know where I am on my notes, don't say anything. That's the answer to it. But that's very hard for people because they want to keep a continuous flow of their voice going. Otherwise, they think no one's going to listen anymore, which is ridiculous, but it's a very human condition, right?
Very true. So yeah, but that's all stuff that you guys can adjust to just by putting a little bit of preparation work in there, and just being prepared. So that's an excellent first tip from Keith. We love that tip. I think we're going to go on to tip number 2.
So, tip number 2 is know your audience, know your crowd, know who you're presenting to. That just means the group that you've been hired to present, you're going to teach a class, you're doing a keynote for your business. Find out who's actually attending the best you can. Who's watching? Why did they show up? That plays into how your presentation goes, meaning to say that if you've advertised your presentation by a headline, you have to stick to what that means and what that title means in your presentation. Otherwise, people are going to be showing up, and if you divert to other subjects
to a
different topic, you have to make sure that you know why your audience is there, and in turn what you're going to deliver to that audience. It seems like a very basic thing, but people go off topic very easily, especially in their presentations. Stay focused on message, and your audience is going to be really, really, really happy. So yes, and I should mention too, when you're speaking at the start, make sure you give a proper introduction to yourself and give your credentials. It's not boasting. A lot of Canadians might be too modest for that, but it's important. Possibly. You're
going to want to give people an idea of who you are.
And it's okay to give your credentials out. It gives people trust in you and what you're speaking about, and credibility right off the top. So those are a few things about knowing your audience and knowing the crowd you're speaking to before you get out there. Really important. Absolutely important.
Would you even say you can do a little bit of research on some of the people who are going to be there, and maybe some of their interest, stuff like that? Is that going too deep, or?
No, I think generally, I would say just generally the crowd you're speaking to, that it's about, if you're type to make a joke during your presentation, the kind of joke you might make. You want to make sure you don't offend anybody when you're making that joke. That happens a lot. You'd be surprised. Making sure that the subject matter you have is laser focused to the needs of that group. They're there to listen to specifically what they believe the description of your presentation is. That'll be in a guide or a online course description they may have got in advance. So sometimes people only read the headline of your presentation before deciding to attend it. So you've got to stick to that headline. Whatever you called your presentation, you need to stick to the subject matter. So, and in turn, your audience is going to be expecting that. So it's the give and take there.
Yeah, very true. So putting out an honest idea of what's going to be in the presentation, and making sure that it's something that is tailored to the individuals that are going to be there, and not expecting that just because you've prepared one message that you're going to be able to take that exact thing and clone it and go put it out to all of these different demographics. It's not going to land the same way, basically.
Right. If you find out, for instance, you can ask the venue or the people putting together the course of the conference, whatever it is. If you find out that you have a lot of people that are new to your field or new to the subject matter, you might want to change the flow or the content of your presentation. If they're experienced, you can leave the acronyms in that everyone's going to know already. You don't have to explain. Sometimes in presentations, if you don't get your market right, or you don't know who the people you're talking to exactly, it can almost sound condescending. So if you're talking to them in a way that they don't know something, and they very much do, they might tune out.
That's kind of the opposite problem as I was thinking. Yeah, like you don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to talk down to somebody. At the same time, you don't want to like talk over their head. So it's a tough balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely you're going to be able to navigate all of those crazy waters as we are navigating the sounds of these train tracks right now. On to tip number 3.
Tip number 3. The whole idea of tip number 3 is the idea of self-care and self-care before you go and speak.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's little things like getting enough rest before you present the next day, before you teach a course, before you even talking to a small group. If you're tired, it'll generally show physically and how you're delivering it. It's not even
hangry.
And hangry, yes, or hangry. Yeah, you got to make sure you eat. Absolutely. So have a meal before you. If you're the type to have a meal in the morning, don't skip it. Even if you're in a rush, grab an energy bar, granola bar, whatever you've got on you. Make sure you've got water at the podium, or however if you're speaking the lectern, because all venues, you can assume venues are going to have that stuff for you. Check. So a little added bonus point is if you can go and visit the venue early or wherever you're presenting, one, it'll help you calm your nerves a little bit because you can see the space you're speaking, and two, you can find out what kind of facilities they have. It's even sometimes knowing where the washroom is.
Of course, yeah, that can be really important.
Very, very little. So
10 minutes before you gotta get on stage,
that's right.
You gotta pee.
And they're like, no, it's like past the parking lot. You're stuck. You're like, oh no, all right.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. And yeah, this is one that when we were like discussing the idea of how we're gonna put this video together, that's one that you brought up that I immediately latched onto. Something that has been like huge for me in business, especially since I've been getting like more of these videography gigs and photography and stuff like that, more like outdoors, physically demanding stuff, that like if you want to be successful, especially in public speaking, you want to have this idea that you know you're a successful person, that you know what you're talking about, and if you're coming there hangry or you know, or you're just you're not in a good mood.
Hungry's bad enough, hangry's no good. Right. You don't want to come off looking angry on stage, and you say, but look, it's because I haven't eaten.
Absolutely. It's not because I don't like you guys.
Yeah, that's right. It's because I skipped breakfast.
Yeah, but yeah, a huge one for me just is taking care of yourself, making sure that you've put something in that belly when it's crunch time. When you're going into the field.
Exactly. I would say a couple other points. One is don't, for the sake of your mental health, don't beat yourself up after you speak if things don't go 100% your way. It's really, really easy to get down on yourself if things don't go 100%. There's a technical gaffe, you lose your way in your notes, anything might happen.
It'll happen, it will happen.
Yeah, and the worst thing you can do is say, oh, that was terrible, didn't go away. Yeah, obviously you want it to go great, but don't beat yourself up afterwards. Learn from it, make notes, do a quick audit once you're done, what went well, what didn't, and just learn from it and take it to your next time when you speak. But don't give up public speaking or speaking in front of a group just over a few simple hiccups that can happen and happen to anybody. One last thing it's come to mind.
On that point,
if you're new to speaking completely, haven't public spoke before in front of even a crowd or a large crowd, I'd recommend maybe not going too early to the event and watching other speakers in advance. It can really throw you off, because if you see somebody who has a really amazing slide deck, you think it's not as designed, yours isn't as designed as well, or they make some great jokes and they really got the crowd laughing. It can take a bit of a dent out of your confidence if you're not already very confident about speaking to the public. So try to get there just on time for yours, the first few of them. We'll let the train go by. It's a long one.
We can yell. We can yell
over. And just try to get there on time for yours, because it's better for the first few outings if you're brand new to it, not to try to get the impression from other speakers that you're doing a lousy job when you're not. But it can be easy to do. You see a published public speaker and you're new, then you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah, you might be terrified.
Yeah.
Or you might be trying to like take aspects of what they did and then on the fly put that into your presentation when it doesn't really fit, right?
That's a great point. That's the worst thing you can do is last minute adopt something you just saw, because people will see that you're either copying it or that it generally won't work out as well as you thought it will if you do it on the fly.
For sure. And these might seem like a lot of kind of small things like, oh yeah, like duh, you're supposed to eat, or like duh, you're supposed to show up at the event like right before you get on stage. But I think that like these sorts of things are really important, and they all go back into that idea of like self-care. If you're gonna be going on stage and like presenting to those people, you have to be at your very best.
Yes.
And there's a lot of tips that Keith has given us to get in that headspace.
Yeah, just to your point, there's those two things you mentioned about maybe being obvious ones. They combined into one time I was helping an executive.
Okay.
She hadn't eaten. She got there way too soon, so she was a bit physically shaky. I mentioned to her assistant, I said, she's a bit shaky. She said, yeah, I don't think she's eaten yet today, just had some orange juice. I said, can you please ask her to eat something? I know it'll help her. It did. And the other thing was the fact that she got there right in the morning. She didn't speak the afternoon, and she came to me and she said, I'm quite nervous about this. I've seen everyone else.
We can tell.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm like, I knew that. Everyone's doing a really bang up job. I said, you're going to be great. I said, don't worry about that. But it's because she was really taking in. She was brand new to the field and was taking in a lot of presentations. Not a bad thing once you get used to it. But off the top, it really kind of put her off when she was actually quite confident when she got there.
Right, yeah.
So eat and go your own way, especially at the start, but just get there for your first few presentations just on time and no more.
Yeah, I like that a lot, that nice personal story that can like help you guys put yourselves in that headspace. I'm sure that we've all been there when we're like a little bit nervous about something and just kind of obsessing about it. Like it's not really going to help you. Like these things that we're talking about, which is like prepping, eating, getting the lay of the land of the venue. Those things are going to help you, not worrying. So
no, not at all.
All right, so I think we got a good bearing on that one.
Yeah, so number 4.
Yeah, number 4.
Yeah. So give your slides enough attention. And that's about the actual slide decks you're presenting. This is something that my company does. So we've seen slide decks in all sorts of conditions. A lot of people generally just don't have a lot of time to make them look as good as they want. Even if they're using the company branding and templates, they still don't quite look ready for a show. I mean, to say going in front of their peers.
Ready for prime time.
Yeah, that's right. Like 1,000 or more people up on stage. So here's a few things you can do to make sure your slide deck's in decent shape. There's lots, but here's some key ones here. Keep the copy to a minimum. The gold standard's a headline and a graphic. That's tough to do, I know, but you should be yeah, I know. Mine don't get that way most times, but the whole thing is the focus should be on the speaker, not the slides.
Yeah.
Right? So a handful of bullet points, not too much copy, keep the focus on you so that people don't read ahead and zone out, because they'll go to their phones. I mean, it's just where we are right now in society.
Yeah, so don't be overdoing with the copy, and like if you're putting a whole bunch of text on those slides, people aren't reading that anyway. So.
They aren't, or if they do read ahead, the minute people read ahead, they just kind of zone out and they don't pay as much attention to it. Right. Your visuals should be high res, so they should be high res images. Always, you know this.
Absolutely, this is a big sticking point.
Yeah, we had one slide deck come in to us, and their logos, and it was going to be presented on a big screen, were very blocky and pixelated, and logos especially never. They have to look high res.
Yeah, this may seem again like a very small thing, but it's a stamp of professionalism, and like if you have some elements of your presentation that aren't high resolution, especially as you're saying, you're going to be putting it on a projector. People are they're gonna see that, and it's just not that hard to do it right. Like you just search for the original files, or there's like especially if you're getting them within your organization, just message someone in your organization, say, can I have the latest high-res files of this? They'll give it to you.
Yeah, the graphics department, marketing, they'll all have that stuff. If you're running your own company and you got somebody else to design it for you and you don't think they're high-res enough, look them up, ask them for a higher res version of your logo or whatever graphics you're using. They should hopefully still have them.
Yeah, I keep all of my stuff going back years.
So. 100%. Make sure at the end of your presentation that you thank everyone. It seems like an obvious again, but I've seen presentations where that's just, people will verbally say thanks, but it's nice to have it on screen as well. So it's a thank you and your contact information, nice and big. so people can see it. Minimal 30-point fonts on that stuff. So people know and can get a hold of you. They might write down your email when they see it. Sure, they can get a business card. Sure, they can look you up. Contact information on the slide is vital.
Especially these days. I mean, you give someone a business card and they're probably going to throw it in the garbage or in their purse, and it's going to be in there for a while.
Yes, that's true.
I see a lot of people at the events that I go to where they will get the contact information. You throw it up on the slides. They throw the phone up, take the picture,
take the photo.
and
Yeah, however it works. Yeah,
that's how it happens.
It's really, and lastly. And this is a bit of a plug for me, but
hey, man.
I have to at some point, Jared, right?
Plug,
in all seriousness, if you don't think if you don't feel comfortable in designing your slides or writing your own copy, hire a professional like us at Full Deck or another company if there is one.
No one as good as Full Deck.
No one. And get it professionally done, because if you're going to be more confident if you like the look of your slides. That's just the long and short of it. If you like what's up on screen, you're going to be a lot more comfortable delivering
it. And in addition to that, hire a professional graphic designer.
That's right.
So your
like this guy. Hire both of us. Is what we're saying. So we're good for the last. Go to the last point.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, those were definitely some amazing points, and definitely some stuff that people can certainly use. I've seen that done in particular badly a lot of times. Those two things, like slides being super overcrowded to the point that you just can't really pay attention to the speaker. You're going to be so distracted by the slides. If
you see like low-res images and Comic Sans on that slide, you might go, I don't know if he's as professional as he says he is.
Yeah, and the low-res stuff, and the distracting and low-res. What I do like sometimes is just throw in like a jokey picture in there. I think that can be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I would stay away from memes. Especially if you don't know their origins.
No Pepe the Frog.
Yeah, that's a yes. Yeah. Like, you really have to know what that's about. Like Sean Bean from Lord of the Rings, One Does Not Simply. It's pretty safe.
Those are safe.
Those are safe. But if you're getting into some more abstract stuff and you just grabbed it because you thought you thought it was funny, or it might make you laugh. Do a reverse image search.
Yeah, that goes for anything.
It goes for any image, really. Check it out, because you don't want to put something up there that immediately offends people. It just that makes sense, I think.
For sure. Yeah, you just want something just enough. Don't overdo it at all. Like, the attention needs to be on you as the speaker. So what you want is something that's just like going to supplement. So I love that idea of just having like a headline and an image on your slide. I think that might be tough for people, but I think that is very good.
Yeah, it is tough, but if Apple, I hate going back to Apple slides, but they do them right. They keep very little copy on screen, and they stick with some really glossy images and some really great video.
Yeah.
So if you can do that, do that.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
All right. Train's coming.
The train's coming.
And we're ready for tip number
5. So
I hope you guys are excited.
Yeah. People on the train are excited.
People on the train are even excited.
They wouldn't be here if they wouldn't be. So come on. So number 5 might be the toughest one to do out of all of them, but number 5 is have fun. You're like,
all right.
Oh, and another train. Okay.
Just for number 5.
Just for number 5.
Because we're having so much fun.
Bonus train. Have fun. You don't think you're going to be able to do that, right? You're thinking, Keith, how am I going to have fun public speaking? I'm terrified of it. Right, and I get that. It's not easy. There's very few natural born public speakers, as I mentioned before. But over time, you can enjoy it. It is possible. It can be a lot of fun up there. Once you get your legs, once you get your slide deck down, sometimes your slide deck's going to be so polished, you're just going to make notes and changes based on who you're talking to here and there. Maybe it's a change of a graphic, a change in the copy, just slight edits here and there. And once you get up there and you start getting comfortable presenting, you're going to actually learn to like it and maybe actually love it.
You might, honestly.
Yeah. Keep in mind, the audience doesn't want you to fail. They don't. They wouldn't be there unless they wanted to listen to you. So try to keep that in mind. They want you to succeed. So take a breath, look at your notes, try not to have too many notes on stage, I should say. Yeah, but it's hard for me to say to people, learn your presentation.
Yeah.
And just, you know, and if you can't ad-lib, don't do that.
Yeah.
So just even have a few points so you remember some key points that you have to get to on the slide deck. The slides can guide you, but you should never be reading them. Ever be reading them. But that said, the more you enjoy it, the more it's going to show. The more interested you perceive in your own subject, which you should be, the more people are going to be interested too. So it'll be reflected back to you. Even if you're not that confident off the top, try to fake it. Big smile, get your copy out, and even if you got to fake it, that's fine to start until you get your legs on stage. But really, it can be really, really enjoyable. If you hit a joke on stage everyone likes, if you feel that everyone's just really, really enjoying it and are really, really interested and involved, you get a really busy Q&A afterwards, you've done your job.
That's great,
You've done your job, especially if you've got people coming up to you afterwards going, I really like it. That's the best. They make a point, come up to you and tell you, you've really hit pay dirt.
For sure, yeah. People come in and really congratulate you on it and say like oh man, that inspired me or something like that.
Yeah,
like that,
exactly,
That is going to be something that is going to happen once you're getting comfortable and once you start to nail these, and that's what's going to make it something fun and something that you love. And yeah, just getting into some more of like the nitty gritty when we were talking about like those small tips, basically it's like building an army of all of these little things that are going to help build you up, right? And and this is definitely one of those things, is just like having a fun time and viewing it as like a communal experience. That it's not just like you up there talking and that's it. Like, it's an interaction between you and the audience. What happens is like there's something that's like special between you and the crowd, and like that energy is what's going to make it a great speech.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Trying to connect is great, and your credentials off the top will help with that. People will know where you came from, a little bit of your history, and it makes you a little more relatable rather than just starting to speak. It's good to talk about a little bit about your personal history, at least professional history, before you begin. And you have that more relatability, then people are going to enjoy your presentation a lot more. Amazing. They can see themselves up there, right?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's my 5, Jared. That's it.
That's great. That's great. Well, those are great, man. And I think that people have got a whole bunch of value from this in between all of the train sounds. Yeah, just kind of learning that, you know, like I always like to talk about in these videos, is the idea of like being an entrepreneur is supposed to be fun, and it's not something that, I mean, again, I say this a lot, but like if you're not going to have a good time, then you might as well, not that having a normal job isn't great, but
no, we're not saying that.
But if you're, you know, if you're going to be out here on your own, running your own business and stuff like that, then you should really be having a good time. And you know what, even if you're not, even if you have like a fairly normal office job and you do have some opportunities to public speak, I think that like in any scenarios like that, you should really be embracing that and viewing it as the opportunity that it is. Like, really, it's an opportunity for you to be on stage, an opportunity to have like the eyes on you to share your personal story, share your personal message. And yeah, I think for like so many reasons that people just shouldn't be afraid of it.
No, they should at least try it. I think everyone should try it at least once. It may not be for you, but if maybe your company needs you to do some of these speaking engagements, you've been hired to do it.
That's it.
And you've got to get up there. Actually, public speaking can open a lot of doors professionally for people. And once you get a little polish behind you, a couple of times up there, it does get easier. It doesn't seem like it ever will, but it really will. I didn't like it initially myself because I knew all that was involved. I knew everything that had to come together at the one go, and you know, it can be be a little terrifying at times. If things can be a little terrifying.
They can be terrifying.
Or a lot terrifying.
They can be terrifying.
But with practice and some effort put on your style when you're on stage and the look of your slide deck, you'll be in good shape.
Love it. All right, well, I think we got a lot of great tips out there. I think this is the hardest part of the video. We're gonna get a little wrap up here. We'll get Keith to quickly fire off those 5 tips, and then we'll get out of here and let you guys get back to your working day.
Yes, yeah, we'll let you back to your jobs.
All right, so so those back to your public speaking.
Sure, yeah. So number 1, be prepared. Make sure that you rehearse and practice and do it in front of other people. Practice is essential. It will help you in the long run. Know your audience. Try to understand the demographic of who's attending, so you don't talk above or below people, meaning to say you don't end up condescending, sounding condescending, or you don't end up not reaching to where people are. I mean, to say professionally, if they know a lot about on the subject, you want to make sure that you're meeting that expectation, that you too also speak at that level on that subject matter. Self-care before you speak.
Love it.
Yeah, make sure you eat, that you've got water at the podium in case your throat gets dry. Have some rest.
Coffee tonic.
Yeah,
so you don't get tired.
Those are crazy. I'm gonna coffee and tonic water, crazy. Make sure that you get some good rest the night before. It sounds like the basics, but a lot of people don't do it because they're so stressed out before they're presenting. And importantly too on the self-care, don't beat yourself up if things don't go well. They will the next time. You just got to work at it. Just learn from it.
You'll get another shot.
Number 4, give your slides enough attention. Make sure that they don't have too much copy on them so people read ahead. You do not want that. Don't read your own slides. Never do that. Make sure that the resolution of the images is high enough so they don't look pixelated on screen. And if you don't feel confident in the copywriting or building your own slides, get a professional to do it.
Awesome.
And lastly, have fun. As I mentioned, it's not impossible. with practice and not beating yourself up if things don't go 100%, that's really, really important. Over time, you'll enjoy it. Project positivity, project confidence. You'll get it back from the audience, even as they say, if you have to fake it the first few times.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, guys, get out there, implement all of those tips.
All of them.
All of them. You better implement every single one of them.
Yeah.
And do some great public speaking. Have a great time. Have fun with it, and reap the rewards. Before we go, I want to thank Keith so much for being on here.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a pleasure.
One of the best guests. One of the most fun.
Oh, great! I'll take that.
Amped up on coffee for this. So
the free coffee help, free coffee tonic, I should say. If anyone needs help, my company is called Full Deck. We'll help with slide presentations, templates, animation, and speaker training. Of course.
The website is
fulldeck.ca.
The social media tags are
fulldeck.biz.
Awesome. All right, and if you guys want to follow Keith, I'm going to put all those links in a little bio and stuff like that in the description as well. That's no problem. You guys probably already know me if you're watching these videos, but I'm Jared.
Watch them all.
Yeah, watch them all. They're like Pokemon. Watch them all.
That's right. Gotta watch them all.
Yeah, you can find me online at galaxydesigngraphics.com. I got lots of videos for you guys to watch there. Some cool graphic design stuff to look at. Even a bit of photography if you're into that. If you guys want to find me on social media, it's at Galaxy Design TO. If you want to find me in real life, usually around Toronto, running
right
around
here
with the camera, or here. I didn't even really mention where we are, but we're here at Stock Market in Toronto. This is a decent place to find me. My house is right over there.
Oh wow, it's super close, and the trains apparently.
And the train, you can always ride the train.
You can always get the train here.
So yeah, guys, I hope that you love those tips. Please go find Keith online and see all of the great stuff he's doing. And if you do need some help with your public speaking beyond these great tips, don't forget to hit him up. But for now, I just want to thank you all for watching. Look forward to the next video in the 5 series. We have 2 left in this series, and then we'll see where we take it from there. But thank you again, Keith, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll definitely see you next time.